Boss Baby Family Business is the second installment of the Boss Baby film franchise that we're getting from Dreamworks now. And no, before you ask, even though I watched the Purge TV show before the Forever Purge, I did not spend time watching anything of the Boss Baby Netflix series. That was one that I did not do. The Purge, yes, for whatever reason, but this one, no. This movie takes place after the first one. Tim is now all grown up and no longer Tobey Maguire. He's James Marsden. He has his own family now. He's got two daughters, Tabitha and Tina. And it's revealed that he and his brother Ted, the former Boss Baby played by Alec Baldwin, have kind of grown apart since that first one. You know, Ted is busy doing business stuff, you know, he's very busy with his work, and then Tim is just trying to be a stay-at-home dad. He's trying to be there for his kids. But one day, fate brings them back together because his daughter Tina reveals herself to be from Baby Corp. She's another Boss Baby, and she is sent to complete a mission that requires both of them to revert back to their younger selves to accomplish it. I'm not a fan of that first Boss Baby movie. I remember it coming out and me watching it and thinking this is absolutely one of the worst DreamWorks movies I think I've ever seen. You know, it was awful to me back then, but of course it did moderately pretty well at the box office, so of course a sequel was announced, and I remember I was riding the bus home from school, and I was just scrolling through Twitter and I saw the announcement and I just went, fuck me, just on that bus ride. Amazing. So I was not looking forward to this movie at all, especially when the marketing was kicking up. I was like, this looks about the same as the first one, so it probably won't be very good. But what I usually try to do with movies that are coming out that are sequels or part of a franchise is, what I like to try to do is rewatch the previous entries, especially if it's been more than like 2 or 3 years, just to kind of refresh my memory. And since this was 4 years ago, I figured, you know, a lot has changed since then. Let's just give it a watch. And I actually was surprised to find that I didn't hate that first movie. I don't like it. It's not a good movie, but it was okay, you know, like I didn't have like an extreme hatred towards it like I did the first time. It was actually pretty entertaining in parts. It had elements of it that I actually enjoyed, which is strange to say. I still wasn't looking forward to this one, but I walked out of that first movie going, you know what, there is definitely room for this idea to be good, it just wasn't here in the first movie. It showed up in this. I am shocked to tell you guys, it's not a prank, I promise I'm not pulling your leg or pulling a joke. I genuinely enjoyed the Boss Baby Family Business. I had a decent time with this movie. I'm shocked, to say the least. I was not expecting this at all. But here we are. This movie does have some similar issues shared with that first movie that I'll blast through them really quickly. You know, because of the nature of the animation style, some textures can look a little too smooth, or like some expressions can look just a little too, like, not as expressive as you want them to, and when you contrast them with some of the other stuff that they do visually, that stuff kind of does stick out, like some technical elements of the movie. There's still some really groaner jokes, some jokes that is really only there for the kids. At one point, the Alec Baldwin baby goes, "It's Night of the Living Boomers," and I went, oh god. Like, there's a line in the trailer where Tina, voiced by Amy Sedaris, is like, I'm recruiting you guys, you boomers, and I was like, I hope that's not in the movie, and it wasn't, but they had this boomer joke from Alec Baldwin, so there's still some bad jokes in this. There's certain things in the end of the movie, like the wrap-up of the final battle, that feel a little like, okay, this is a movie, so of course this is gonna happen exactly like this, and you're gonna have this here just to give the audience one last little bit of a laugh and maybe some suspense, I don't know. It was just some stuff that kind of obviously felt that way instead of it feeling natural to the plot. There's an element of Tim not knowing exactly what school his daughter goes to, and he's shocked when he finds out and he sees the ad, but it's like, you know, you're the stay-at-home dad who likes to, like, narratively is, like, all about caring for what's going on. Wouldn't you know? Like, don't parents know what schools they send their kids to, especially one that's as well marketed as this? So it felt a little like, oh, it's supposed to be a shock, and narratively it's like a big, like, oh my gosh, I had no idea moment for Tim, even though I'm supposed to know everything about Tabitha, but it's like, this is your thing to know, you know, you're literally the parent who sent her here. And the last thing I can say negatively about this movie is that it seems like they retconned the happy, sweet ending of the first movie just so they could have stuff for the characters to do in this one. Not that it's even necessarily a bad idea, I'll talk about that a little more in a second, but it's just like they throw in some stuff to make it like more over-the-top dramatic when it could have just been like a more mature kind of like, hey, you know, we just got older and we kind of drifted apart, but instead they try to, you know, bring it up to 11 with like, you weren't there for my graduation, or you weren't there for my wedding. At one point, Alec Baldwin even says like, you know, childhood, worst 3 years of my life. And it's like, really? Like, the ending of the first movie implies that, you know, that they're pretty happy and nothing too dramatic happened, but it seems like some stuff did. It just felt like they did some stuff to make the drama a little more heightened when it could have just been played a little bit more naturally, or maybe just in a more mature way for kids to digest, but instead they tried to make it a little more basic so kids don't have to think a whole lot. But all those issues aside, some of them carrying over from the first movie, there's still a lot here that I did enjoy. Like going back to some of the character arcs in this, I really do like the setup where Tim is now grown up and he's still retained a lot of his childhood wonder, and he's channeled it into being a dad, and he, you know, prides himself off of that. But now his kid is starting to get to a point where she might not be into that, and that obviously is something that he is not used to and not really fully prepared to deal with. Trying to be there for her, but not really knowing what it is she needs because she's kind of closing off. And there's also an aspect where it seems like she's respecting Uncle Teddy, Alec Baldwin, a little more than him, which is obviously a frightening thing, I'm sure, for any parent. And the bond between the brothers, between James Marsden and Alec Baldwin, who voice acting wise do have really good chemistry with each other, you know, that was honestly pretty sweet. Like at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, I can't help it, you know, I'm totally bought in by these two characters. I really did enjoy the characters more so this time around. And I think it is because the first movie was just, you know, the boy is like, I don't want a baby brother, and the baby brother is like, I'm actually a genius from Baby Corp and I just want to get out of here. And then eventually, of course, they like each other. It's a fairly simple kind of thing that works kind of for that movie. Like I said, it's just kind of okay. But in this one, they actually take the time to grow the characters and, you know, actually go down an avenue where they can actually evolve according to what age they are now. So I actually found that pretty sweet, and like I said, the voice actors are all doing a great job. Amy Sedaris as the new boss baby Tina, she does a really great job in this. I really do like her voice acting work, but the best part about this movie might be the villain, played by Jeff Goldblum, who at first I was like, okay, like similarly to the villain of the first movie, it just seems like they're going a little too over the top, a little too ridiculous. Like the first movie's villain, like they're literally inventing puppies, and it's like I wish that the antagonist for what's stealing the cuteness from babies was just a little bit more clever, and this is just, we made a new puppy. It's like, okay. And with the villain in this one, at first it started off that way, but then I started to get the feeling like, oh, is this just gonna be like a generic, I just want to rule everyone bad guy? Whatever, man. Like, I wish it was a little better. But then some reveals are made, and then some backstory is explained, and I was like, you know what, this is amazing. What I'm looking at here, this villain is so much fun, actually, and I just forgot all about that. I thought they actually did a really great job crafting a story for this villain that fit with the rest of the theme for the other characters. And Jeff Goldblum just has a really great voice for animation, at least for like quirky, whack job kind of characters. His voice is kind of perfect. There are some solid jokes in this movie, so unlike the first movie where it was mostly groaners, this movie just has its fair share every once in a while, but for the most part, I found myself, you know, kind of, I wouldn't say it's like laugh out loud funny, but it's just kind of like, you know, it's totally fine. I really enjoyed, once again, the creative visuals that they throw in. Of course, Tim has an overactive imagination, and when they show it, it's all vibrant and different, and it looks amazing, and like contrast it with like the normal vision of this world, it looks so breathtaking. And once again, they bring that back with this, and it might be even a little bit better too. It looks fantastic, and once again, there's some really fun action chase sequences in this that were so entertaining to watch, you know, and actually pretty exciting. Backed once again by a great score by Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer, back from the first Boss Baby movie. I forgot that he did the score for the first one, so seeing him come back was honestly even more of a shock, but, you know, once again, really great music orchestrating this whole movie. So I don't really have a whole lot to say about this movie. Obviously, it does have its negatives, but for the most part, I genuinely enjoyed this movie and thought it actually did a good job of not only growing the characters from the first movie, but also just being a better movie than the first one. They did what a lot of sequels to mediocre movies don't usually do, which is they take that mediocre movie and find the avenues in where they can actually be better. And that was honestly quite shocking. I did not expect walking out of the Boss Baby family business to say, you know what, I would actually recommend that to kids, but I would actually recommend this to kids. There's not as many shots of like babies' asses in this too, so that's obviously a way better movie. I'm gonna give the Boss Baby Family Business a B-. Once again, the creative visuals from the animation department, some fun voice acting really do carry this, and I really did enjoy more of the emotional hook this time around, more of the personal character stories. It honestly is a much better movie than the first Boss Baby, without it still being perfect, but I still found it pretty entertaining. I think even some parents will watch it and be like, you know what? It's kind of like wacky and kind of like crazy how far they're going with this plot, but it's kind of enjoyable, you know? It's one of those kind of movies. I don't think it'll win over every critic of the first Boss Baby movie, but it might surprise you with the things that they do better. But if you've seen the Boss Baby Family Business, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.